Most people get New Jersey tax liens wrong in a very specific way. They focus on the auction, but the auction is actually the least important part of the whole thing. Let me explain what's really going on. In New Jersey, when you buy a tax lien, you're not buying a house. You're buying unpaid property taxes. That's it. The owner still owns the property, you just step into the position of the person they now owe money to. That gives you a lien, and eventually, the right to foreclose if they don't pay you back. Now everything starts at the municipal level. There's no central auction. Every town runs its own sale, and there are over 500 of them. Traditionally, these were all in person, which made things chaotic and limited how many auctions you could attend. Now a lot of them are moving online, which honestly changes the game. It makes it easier to participate, but it also makes things more competitive. And competition is already intense in New Jersey. Here's why. The bidding system doesn't work the way people expect. You're not bidding the price up, you're bidding the interest down. It starts at 18%. Then people compete by accepting less. 15. 10. 5, sometimes all the way down to 0. And yes, 0 happens a lot more than you'd think. At that point, the auction shifts. Instead of bidding interest, people start bidding cash premiums, in $100 increments, just to win the lien. So now you've got people accepting 0 return, and paying extra money on top. Which sounds insane, until you understand what they're actually betting on. But before that, you need to understand the risk. That premium you pay, it doesn't earn anything. No interest. Nothing. It just sits with the municipality for up to 5 years. And here's the part people miss: if you don't complete the foreclosure within that window, that money is gone. Not reduced. Not partially returned. Gone. So if you're sitting on a lien with a big premium and you're not actively moving toward foreclosure, you're basically running a clock against yourself. And a lot of people realize that way too late. Now, technically, a tax lien in New Jersey can last up to 20 years. So on paper, it sounds like you have plenty of time. In reality, you don't. Because things change. Property conditions get worse. Legal complications show up. And if the owner has a common name, you might end up dealing with dozens of unrelated judgments that you're required to sort through during foreclosure. So time is not your friend here. Which brings us back to the real question. If interest gets bid down to 0, how does anyone actually make money? The answer is not the lien you buy. It's what you do after you own it. Once you have a lien, you get the right to pay future property taxes on that same property. These are called subsequent taxes. And those, unlike your original bid, earn 18% interest. That's the core strategy. You're not really buying for the initial return. You're buying for control, so you can keep adding to the lien at a high rate. And this is where investors split into different approaches. Some people pay those taxes as soon as they're due, every quarter. That way, interest starts accruing immediately, and everything stays clean and predictable. Others let those taxes go back to auction again. The reason is, when a new lien is sold, there's a penalty attached, 2, 4, or 6% depending on the size. So they're trying to stack penalties instead. But that approach comes with friction. You used to have to physically show up again, and even now, there's always a chance someone else bids on it. If that happens, you can still pay it off and attach it to your lien, but now you're dealing with extra steps and uncertainty. So it's really a trade-off between simplicity and squeezing out a bit more return. Now once you own the lien, there are a few things you absolutely have to stay on top of. You need to record it properly. You need to track every payment. And most importantly, you need to think about foreclosure early. In New Jersey, you can start foreclosure after 2 years. Not before. But waiting until the last minute is a mistake, especially if you paid a premium, because foreclosure is not instant. It can drag out, especially if there are multiple parties involved, banks, other lien holders, or just messy title situations. And before you even start, you have to send notice to everyone connected to the property, giving them a chance to redeem. If they do redeem, that's actually the clean outcome. You get your principal back, plus interest, plus any penalties and some legal fees. But if they don't, then you're committing to a legal process that requires time, attention, and money. And this is the part that separates people who understand this space from people who don't. Because the biggest mistake isn't overpaying. It's thinking the investment ends when you win the auction. It doesn't. That's where it starts. If you're not actively managing the lien, adding subsequent taxes, watching your timelines, and planning your foreclosure, you're not really investing. You're just holding paper and hoping it works out. And in New Jersey, hope is not a strategy. The people who do well here are not the ones who win the most bids. They're the ones who understand that this is a process, not a purchase, and they stay in control of that process from beginning to end.